Different pricing policies. First is limit pricing. This is a price set too low by the new entrants. This applies in market structure such as monopolies and oligopolies. In the short run, the new entrants set prices so low that already established firms start making losses, and in the long run, they can be thrown out of the market. The already established firm is no longer able to maintain their prices, and they have to necessarily lower down the prices. The firms are attracted towards the market because of presence of supernormal profits in the market. Predatory pricing, on the other hand, is also a price set too low, but this is set by the already established firms. They do so due to threat of new entrants, and when they do so, the new firm is unable to make a profit. In time, the new firm will be forced out of the market. When this happens, the established firm will put its prices back to the former level. Predatory prices can normally be applied to monopolies, oligopolies, but it can also be applied to perfectly competitive market. This could be the scenario in oligopoly when one firm fears that the other firm is going to lower their prices to capture a huge market share, and this predatory pricing happens because each firm wants to capture a bigger market share. Price leadership is the price set by the firm that has the highest market share and all firms accept it. This model is a purely oligopolistic model. Let's look at the graph. Suppose there are two firms operating in the market. This is the average revenue curve and this is the marginal revenue curve. Let's say that there are two firms operating in the market and these are the marginal cost curves for both of them. This is marginal cost for firm A and this is marginal cost for firm B. Firm A operates at a lower cost level where marginal revenue is equals to marginal cost. Let's extend this. This firm can offer their product for this price. Whereas if we look at firm B, marginal revenue is equals to marginal cost at a higher cost, and when we extend this line, firm B is offering their products at a higher price. Now, if firm B does not lower their prices and firm A keeps offering their goods and services at this price level, which is below the price level where firm B is offering their products, firm B is eventually going to go out of business. Therefore, B has no other option but to follow price leadership. Now let's have a look at the relationship between price elasticity of demand and firm's revenue curve. Firm's revenue curve is always a downward sloping curve because revenue increases when price decreases. More units are purchased when prices come down. So let's have a look at the relationship between marginal revenue, total revenue and average revenue. Total revenue is always maximum where marginal revenue is equals to 0. At this point, price elasticity of demand is equals to 1. It says that at price 5, price elasticity of demand is equals to 1. Let's have a look at it in the table. When we have 5 units sold is 5 and price 5. Change in output is 1, which is equal to change in price. So at this point, price elasticity of demand is 1. At points above this point, price elasticity of demand is greater than 1, which means demand is elastic. Firms cannot change their prices because a slight change in price will result in a greater change in demand. Therefore, it will impact revenue to a great extent and the revenue will come down. In this part of the curve, which is below price elasticity of demand, PED value is less than 1, which means that the firm can charge higher prices as it will not have much of an impact on quantity demanded. So we can see that price elasticity is a very important concept when firms need to decide whether they should increase the prices or not, and they see what happens to the total revenue. It would make sense for any firm operating in the elastic part of the demand curve to reduce price and boost total revenue. In elastic part of the curve, when they bring prices down a little bit, revenue will change rapidly because demand changes rapidly as prices come down in the elastic part of the curve. Conversely, in the inelastic part, the firm should raise its prices if it wants to see higher revenues. For example, revenue is maximized when price is 5. Total revenue is maximized, it stays unchanged, and after that it starts declining. This in itself is a reasonable objective for a firm to have. However, it's not the same as profit maximization. Profit maximization is something else. By changing prices, they are maximizing their revenues. Profit is not equal to revenue. Sometimes the firm may be prepared to accept lower prices and produce above the profit maximizing output in order to increase its market share in the growing market. This is called penetration pricing policy. A firm choosing to maximize its revenue would raise output beyond MC is equals to MR to the point where MR falls to 0. Extra sales after this would contribute nothing towards total revenue because marginal revenue is going to be negative. Therefore, revenue is at its maximum where marginal revenue is equals to 0. There may still be supernormal profits if total revenue is higher than total cost, but that's not always the case. Talking about the kinked demand curve and observing what happens to the revenue, let's just look at the average revenue curve. This is the most feasible price for firms operating within the oligopolistic structure because if the firms try to reduce prices, if firms try to operate here in the inelastic part of the curve, it's not going to make much of a difference on the revenue because a big change in price results in a very small change in quantity, whereas the change in price is extremely big. And if they try to operate in the elastic part of the curve, small change in prices are going to create a big difference in the quantity. However, it's not feasible for the firms operating in an oligopoly to change prices in this part of the curve. Why? Because it's assumed that nobody is going to follow suit if firms increase their prices. But if they decrease prices, other firms are going to follow suit. Therefore, there will be a huge loss in revenue for the firms if they try to reduce prices in the elastic part of the curve, and no as such gain when they try to decrease prices in the inelastic part of the curve. Therefore, it's feasible for all the firms in an oligopoly to operate at this price at point K in order to maximize revenue.